What is up, Alex? It's Guys here, back with part 2 in how to wholesale. Last week we broke down exactly how you can find deals, and now you're at the stage where you have leads coming in and you found some sellers who have properties that want to sell to you for a deeply discounted rate. So what's next? I've seen so many wholesalers have a deal fall into their lap and then they screw it up at this stage. They don't know how to get it locked up and under contract. This is such a crucial stage, one of the most important parts of wholesaling without a doubt. So that's where you are. You need to know how to get a deal under contract. You've done the work to find what you think is a good deal, but is it? I mean, the yard's overgrown, there's deferred maintenance, and hey, the owner even has come to you to sell. They want you to buy it. So now what? Well, there are 3 really big steps to getting the deal under contract, and you can't mess them up. So without further ado, let's dive into those steps. Oh wait, actually, I need you to do something for me. Tap that like button. It's so easy. It'll help out the YouTube algorithm. Okay, now let's dive in and get after it. The first step in getting a deal under contract is to properly analyze the deal. How do we do this, you ask? Well, in order to analyze a deal, you only need to know one simple equation: 70% of ARV minus repairs minus your wholesale fee. The ARV is the after repair value. This is what the property will sell for after it is fixed up and on the open market. You can find this by running comps, aka comparables. If you have access to the MLS or know someone who does, this is the best way. You'll get to take a look at comparable homes in a repaired and updated condition to see what they're selling for. When you're on the MLS, you'll need to find properties with similar square footage, location, bed and bath, and even look at the photos to verify that the house is nicely updated. Next, you need to determine the cost of repairs. You can do this in just a couple of ways. One of which is to leave a comment in this video and I'll personally reach out to send you our cheat sheet for coming up with an estimate for repair costs. Another is to have a contractor meet you out at the property to give you an estimate. Sometimes you may not even need them to meet you out at the property, but you can have the owner send you pictures of the interior, exterior, and of every room, the roof, and anything that they think is applicable. That way you can have the contractor take a look at these. Oh, and if I haven't mentioned it before, get close with a contractor. This will help you so much throughout your career. Okay, last part of the equation is to subtract your wholesale fee. How much are you looking to make by wholesaling this to an end investor? On most single family deals, I've seen an average of about $16,000 in wholesale fees. But I've done big commercial deals where my fee was hundreds of thousands of dollars. You'll need to subtract this from the deal in order to make sure that you get paid and the deal is still attractive enough for the end investor. Now, you probably aren't the one flipping the home, but you need to think like the end buyer. Get inside the mind of your target market. Now that you've analyzed the deal and it makes sense, it's time for you to make an offer. Okay, you know your numbers, so it's important to stick to them. You know where you will need to be in order to be able to get a good enough deal to pass it on to another investor. You're going to likely meet the seller in person, but you may just talk to them on the phone, and that's okay too. You need to find out what is important to them. Ask them questions about their situation. Are they looking to get a certain price? Do they need to move at a certain time? Do they have a mortgage on the home that they have to at least pay off with the sale of this property? The more questions you ask the seller, the better. These are identifying questions. They'll help you identify the seller's pain points. That way you can structure your offer around these. Ask the seller directly, how much do they want to sell the property for? Sometimes they'll tell you, and sometimes they'll try and play it cool and won't. When they tell you they don't want to tell you your number first, don't budge. I always respond with, well, I need to understand what you need to walk away with. That way I can see if I can get it for you. I tell them that the more I know about what you need, the easier it is for me to give it to you. Remember, we already know what we need to offer in order to be able to wholesale this property. Then I ask them, is that the absolute best that you can do? Sometimes they say yes, but sometimes they say, well, I can get down to this number if... And now we're cooking with gas. I've got a good feel on the whole situation. If their number is below my number, great. We just made this deal an even better deal and it needs to be locked up as soon as possible. If their number is higher than what I want to offer, I need to start to negotiate. Always tell the seller you understand why they need what they need, but also explain why it's only possible with your numbers. Rehab, condition, neighborhood, tenants, market, etc. At this point in the conversation, I start pointing out all of the problems with the property. I try to get them to verbally say that they agree with what I'm saying. If I say something like, hey, well, I understand, but the property needs this amount of work, would you agree? Get them to say yes, that they agree. I work this conversation as much as I need to until we get to a point of agreement. And now, it's time to write up a contract and get it signed. Do not just make a verbal offer. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you just have a verbal agreement, you have nothing. How is the seller going to sign a verbal offer? Get it in writing and get it in front of the seller. Here in Texas, we write our contracts up on the Texas Real Estate Commission's promulgated forms. We always make our contracts assignable, meaning we're allowed to sign the rights in the contract to another buyer and assign that equitable interest. If we have to, we will double close on the property. Some important things to make sure you have in your contract with the seller is an option period. During the option period, you, the buyer, are allowed to back out of the contract for any reason. This allows you to have inspections done, get a final walkthrough with a contractor, and just verify that you're going to be able to find an end buyer. It's important to have this just in case you can't find one. Also, make sure to utilize a title company that is familiar with wholesale deals and double closes. More often than not, a title company can ruin a deal due to the fact that they are unfamiliar with how the process works. You'll need to have enough time in order to find an end buyer and give that buyer enough time to close on the property. Have these points along with the price you needed at, and you are golden. And now you have a deal and you have it under contract. Congrats! But that's not it. You still have more work to do. You need to find an end buyer, an investor, a modern day Chip and Joanna. So, how are you going to do that? Well, you have to tune into next week's video to find out. I'm excited to break down the best ways, the best kept secrets to find an end buyer and assign that contract. That way you can get paid. Until then, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this wholesaling stuff intimidating, or are you just absolutely stoked? And hey, if you have a question, drop that below too. I promise to personally respond to every single comment that we get. Thanks again for watching today. Do not forget to subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in next week's video.